Good morning, everyone. Today is March 3rd, 2026, and this is the first trading session of the month. We are still looking at the same three pairs that we've been looking at all along, which are US 30, NASDAQ, and gold. Currently, if we look at what the market profile has been doing since yesterday, or we just look at it from an overall perspective, we know that yesterday we had this rally to the upside during New York session, and then this huge fall off coming into today's session. And now we have created a low of the day, also creating a low of the week for NASDAQ's order profile, as well as if we look at the sentiment for NASDAQ today, we can see that our sentiment has come out as bearish. We then have US 30, which US 30 again doing almost the same exact thing that NASDAQ is doing in terms of we had this rally to the upside. Only thing about US 30 is that if we go on a 4-hour, we can see that the 4-hour created this fair value gap here, and price tapped into that fair value gap with Monday's price action and is now trying to trade lower off of this 4-hour fair value gap. And from a lower time frame perspective, again, we've already created low of the day here with the price action that was created in post-London at the 520 candle. And then we will see what price wants to do in terms of if it wants to try and dig lower today and continue to take out the current low of the day and then lower price action after that. And then finally, we have gold. Gold has been falling off. We have a 15-minute here on gold that was falling off for Monday. We have another 15-minute that was presented that got retested with today's 7:30 price action. And we are now looking to drop off to this low of the day. And again, gold sentiment bearish, and US 30 sentiment as well is also bearish. And so again, we're just sitting on our hands as of right now, waiting to see if any opportunities present themselves. But right now, there's nothing really going on in the market. Okay, so it's currently 8:50, and we have a little bit of an update right now. So NASDAQ, I'm not really too worried about. NASDAQ had a huge liquidity grab. Again, if I clear this, NASDAQ had this liquidity grab at 8:30 into 8:35, and then NASDAQ is now kind of pulled back into a range. There's no direction that it's looking to go to as of right now in terms of going that buy-side liquidity being high of the day or that sell-side liquidity being low of the day. And we have US 30, where US 30 is now already broken out to the downside. You've now seen again it created a low of the day at 520. It's now broken the concurrent low of the day, and now it's created fair value gaps looking to trade to the downside. If we look at a higher time frame, being a 4-hour, we know that we have this higher time frame liquidity pool here in price, and so that is the next target that I have in mind if US 30 would like to continue to short today. And then we have gold. Gold, we're probably going to miss this one. I was looking at this 840 fair value gap that just formed that broke the low of the day. Again, gold from a higher time frame. We know there's a higher time frame liquidity pool that was created on the Friday prior to last week, and that is currently where price is trying to get to in terms of liquidity. So I was looking at taking a short off of this 5-minute fair value gap if we were to pull back, but as we can see, there has been no pullback, and we've now just started to try and get towards our objective. I think that's everything that we currently have right now. This is really the only thing that is decently probable today. And again, even if we do end up taking this, I'll probably end up lowering my risk just because, again, all the other pairs are basically consolidating. And gold seems to be the one thing that is breaking out while, again, all the other things are concurrently consolidating. Okay, so the trade that I was talking about, waiting for us to enter, we have now entered into. Again, same premise that we've been looking at. We have a 5-minute fair value gap that was created with the 840 candle. We know that we are overall bearish given our sentiment and given where we are in the markets currently. We also know that it's 9 o'clock, so we're in a new macro, being 9 to 10 o'clock. And again, we're expecting for some form of sell side liquidity to be delivered today. Again, if we're going to follow what the session is doing, enter at fair value gap, we're looking at sell side liquidity being these lows to target. We also have subjective targets in the market being every 125 pips or every 250 points, because this is US 30. So we know 47.5 is a key level, and so we know our next key level is going to be 47.625 or 650 actually, for our next take profit. So currently what we're looking at, and again, we'll continue to monitor this price, but we're expecting for price to deliver to the downside today. Okay, so the only main thing I'm monitoring right now is really my exit. Trying to figure out where I'm getting out today, given that we have a couple of objectives in mind. So given that low of the day is already broken, I knew that my original target, like I had talked about before, on the 4-hour time frame, my original target is this sell side liquidity down here. So that would be the sell side liquidity at 47.505. That's a super deep target though. And again, if we look at this 4-hour price leg that we're currently in, we also know that there's a 4-hour FVG that was created on with the Wednesday, December 10th candle, and that is currently what is sitting in the market as a bullish fair value gap for price to potentially react off of. And then also, if we go back to a lower time frame, like I was talking about with key levels, we have 47.650, which is where this line here is denoting. And this is another objective in mind in order for us to go from key level to key level, being that we just came from, we just came from 48,000. And so that's currently what we're looking at right now. We will see if price wants to react to this downside, but I'm just monitoring where my exit would be, just in case we do have any form of reaction inside of this 4-hour fair value gap. So we currently have momentum to the downside. Again, I'm kind of just watching this to see how our reaction gets once we touch into this 4-hour fair value gap. This is going to tell me significantly kind of what we want to do in today's pricing. I want to see us blow through this completely, because again, we've already created a fair value gap that we have an entry protocol off of. And so if price is going to continue to go bearish for today, we would expect for some form of volume slash indication that we are actually going to disrespect these targets and then continue to get to our sell side objectives. But again, that's just currently what we're looking at right now. All right, so we are getting a pretty good reaction to the downside. Again, I want to see this drive through this fair value gap here in order to validate that we are sitting in bearish price action. So we'll see what goes on here. We can also move our stop to break even here. We know that, again, if we're monitoring price for what it is, we know price isn't going to swing back here. If price ends up swinging back up to where our entry is, then we're okay with being taken out. But we wouldn't allow price to come back here because we know there's nothing inside of these price legs that are showing that price should revert back in order to pull back in any sort of way, shape, or form. And then again, we're monitoring this from a higher and lower time frame perspective. If I see any form of flip on this lower time frame, I would get out of this trade because, like we've talked about, we're already at a 4-hour objective, and we don't want to see this start to retrace higher than where the lower time frame liquidity pools are. It doesn't look to be anything significant pullback wise. Again, gold, US 30, all of these other pairs are very hesitant to try and move in any form of direction today. So again, that's just another thing that we're monitoring with this price action. But we don't want to give back profits in terms of how we've reacted to these price legs. That's why I'm just, again, just watching it, seeing what it's doing, and seeing if there's an exit point for us now that we've had a form of reaction off of this area. We're pulling back pretty significant here. As we can see, again, we're retracing now aggressively now that we've ran this. Again, I expected us to get to this 50% area. That is really where I wanted to see us get down to today, at least for a take profit. We just barely missed our exit point, our original exit point with where price was. Again, I'm still giving this a chance to try and rebound and see what it wants to do, because this is a very, very aggressive short side sentiment today. So again, I would expect for those bears to continue to play out in the market, but again, we're just waiting to see if we are still aligned in this trade, or if we're ultimately going to break out and continue to go to buy side. And once again, just breaking this down from a lower time frame perspective, since we know that we reacted off of this 4 hour and we had an impulse bullish, we now know that this 9/11 candle has created a bullish fair value gap here. We want to see this broken very, very aggressively to the downside. Again, we're just walking ourselves through what price is doing. However, we know that if this does not get broken aggressively, this is probably what's going to hold, and we're either going to continue to consolidate throughout the session, or we're going to react off of this fair value gap and then revert bullish. So this is going to be a pretty deciding factor of what we're doing, as well as the fact that, again, even if we don't reach into that FVG, if we start to break out into buy side liquidity, we know that that's also a notion for us to not be in that trade as well. Here's our main determining factor right now. If we can break through this here, then we'll continue to hold. And let me mark this out so you guys can see. If we break through this here aggressively, we'll continue to hold, because I know that, again, this is now a swing point. So this now becomes my stop loss, 47,907. So our stop loss is now going to be moved to the top of the price action pool. So I'm actually going to move to 47,890. Okay. So we've now made sure that our stops are pretty deep in profit. We now know that if we pull back, we don't lose anything on this trade whatsoever. But again, we are now expecting for this to now just go straight to our objectives. We don't really expect for this to have any more hiccups, especially since what the 5 minute is looking like, what the 1 minute is looking like, and in terms of how pricing is actually presenting itself today in the market. You know that you also have this sell side point here that was in the market at 910 that you're looking to aggressively break. Okay, so we should be good. Again, we just looked at what the Nasdaq's doing as well. Nasdaq's starting to fall, as well as MYM. There you go. There's my take profit hit, and we are now taken out of this trade. So yeah, it's a very good day. Let's move this here to where we got taken out. So I got taken out for a 1 to 2% here, which is ultimately what I was aiming for. We know, again, we're now in this 4 hour, so this can probably, it can either dig deeper into this 4 hour time frame, or it can go down to this key level here that we have marked out. But ultimately, we know the premise of the trade for today. 5 minute fair value gap that was created at 8:35 or at 8:40. The 5 minute fair value gap was tapped into at 9 o'clock. Again, this is a new macro going into 9 to 10. And then ultimately looking for sell side objectives. We know that we marked out this 4 hour fair value gap here with these two lines as our objective for sell side. And that's exactly where we took price to. But that concludes everything for today. I hope today was a lot more informative. I tried not to have as many pauses, especially during the actual trading session itself. I do a lot of things in the morning, man. I be moving around a lot, so it's a little difficult for me to sometimes just sit down and fully explain breakdowns. But I'm trying to get more. I'm just trying to keep myself more accountable at doing that, because I know that a lot of people are finding value in these videos. And again, people are just starting their day trading journey, starting their journey as investing in general. And so I'm trying to give you guys as much help, insight, and tools to kind of perfect and get as best as you can in this industry. But once again, if you guys have any questions, concerns, any of that, let me know. My week is probably going to be over here. I know it's the first trading day of the week, but I have something very, very special planned coming soon. And so that's what I'll be dealing with for the next couple of days. If I do have a chance to trade Thursday, I'll get a trading session in for you guys for sure. And then we have NFP on Friday, so I definitely won't be trading there. But next week, we should be back to our regularly scheduled program of being Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday trading.